Salvete, Sodales. Here is finally another read along, and I have found the motivation to read this story by a person on the Latin Discord server, written in the occasion of a collection of horror stories for this October. And yeah, I think it's an it's it hits the sweet spot for material I think is relevant for intermediate learners, and that's whom I mainly want to address with these read-alongs. So yes, I hope if you're roundabout an intermediate Latin learner, I hope you might enjoy this. A story, a decent story with a decent, with a interesting plot twist. Yes. Um, Pergamos. Cara abatis. Reading first and translating, so thereafter. Cara abatisa, tibi scribodere, quam nisi meteste avaniset, non ipsa credere macilissa, tam mirast ut tibi quoque fortasse in mentem suviat dubium, quonam modo in haec quae solum diabolo iubente, dio ipso pugnante natura, ambobus in prelio humanorum spirituum perpetua satana victis potuis entfieri, reora humilis Dei famula inciderit, sed fidelis semper eras veritatis inquisitrix, recte sententiae propugnatrix, mea amatrix, non dubito quem mihi poscenti opem feras. So, dear nun, to you I write about the matter which, lest me being the witness, temporal ablative, where the being is omitted. This is in the same pattern of consularibus and the names, where being is omitted. Um, uh, lest, yeah, lest I being the witness, I would then not have believed myself the matter to have happened. Understand rem as accusative subject of Alcidissa. So miraculous it is that also perhaps in the mind for you, subeat might creep doubt. So it's so miraculous that even into your mind some doubt might creep. That's creep is kind of what I get from the sub at. Quanam modo in what now in what now kind of matter in hake towards these things. I'm not sure I 100% understand the sense of in hake here, but I don't think it's that important. Which only the devil being ordering, the devil in charge, I think is the sense here. Things only, the devil being in charge, again being omitted, and God himself and nature fighting against, both in the battle of spirits of men, perpetually by Satan vanquished. So potuisant fieri, yes, could have had happened, could had been possible to happen. Yes, so she's going to tell, or yes, we do know it is to Agatham, Agatha, in Bergen, Um, Markella. Um, yes, I don't think we have the name of the first person here yet. Yeah, Nidrosia in Nidaros. Yes. Or no, Markella is the I. Yes, of course. Markella mittit epistolam. Yes. So Markella is saying that these things that she is about to narrate could only have happened if God and nature have been perpetually vanquished and um, the devil is now in charge. De diabolo jubente. Yes, grim stuff, right? Um, and truly, in reality, um, the humble um, third declension adjective seems um, humble female servant of God has come upon. Inkida is often in the sense to come upon. Um, and but the trusty always you were inquisitor, searcher of truth, and a fighter for good thinking, my beloved friend. And I don't doubt that uh, me asking you will carry resources, you will give help. Is that? Um, I think that's I think that's a bit strange thing to say here. Maybe it's in the sense that you will pay attention. I think that would be a more apposite thing to say right here. I don't doubt that you'll give attention to these things that you know is afforded this importance by the eye here. Yeah, open for us is usually, as I know it, to help. Open for um, quid plura. What more? Um, uh, in Latin. Quid plura, brevi oratione, et parca exponam, quae ante noctem illam qua primum diabolis servam intuita sum facta sint nam contingentibus eventis omissis verior, ne eo difficilius fiat crederet intellegere, hac estate occidente migrationem paravi in oppidum non longe procul nidrosia, quod subiectum erat castello lapideo atque antiquissimo, qua familia dignitate et nobilitate longe excelsa, Leoni Parmensis, rege sigurdo, magni filio mortuo, regno cuncto perturbationes magnas patiente, dolo potita esse dicitur, quum nam ita in annalibus legeram castellum quandam ligneum ferequo omnes comitialis gentes incendio perisent, comitem inibi habitasse solitariam agricolas per contans nacta eram, at plura non dicere audebant, saepe crupiam sanctam manibus gestulantes significabant, neque ullam exore eliciabant vocem, alii Deum imprecabantur, alii in terram spuebant, etiam alii in numeris superstitionibus popularibus cedebant. Io tempore ut menoras quamuis fidelis et bona Christiana semper eram non facili in superstitiosis numerabar Christum et Deum orara aliud demones larvas malefica expugnare longe aliud esse credebam, sed hoc alias. Right. So what more? With a short oration and few things, parca, I I shall I should lay out. I will explain what things before that night in which first the devil's servant I laid my eyes on, deponent intuor, facta sint, yes, quae facta sint. I will explain what happened that night. 4. On Mrs. Having omitted these contingent events, um, I I this I am afraid. Um, I'm afraid ill, and when it's anything about fear, the ne has really no force. It just yes, same in Greek. I think most intermediates are aware of it, but calling it to attention. I'm afraid that's so much more difficult. It um, should be to believe and understand. Right. So it's a conditional ablative, absolutely. For if I were to leave aside all the all the round, all the events that preceded the context, I'm afraid that all the more difficult it should be to believe and understand. Um, and at the dying of this um, summer, I, I think the falling of summer must be at the end of it. That's I haven't seen this expression before, but I feel quite confident in that reading. Um, I prepared, I made preparations for um, a migration or a trip to the city not far. Um, yeah, absolutely not far. Långe Procol. Non-long, so absolutely not far from Nidaros. Place in Norway, by the way. Nidaros and Bergen. Nidaros is where you know is the most important church. This has the most important church in Norway, where the first king was buried. Yeah, that's it. And Costello. Um, she's preparing a trip to the city that is really not far from Nidaros. Um, for it was laying under the castle of stone uh, that was not only of stone but also very old, in which a family um, uh, um, elevated in dignity and nobility by far, the Leoni Parmensis. Um, I suppose we should find the verb that they lived there, where the family lived. Um, I think this this cost me some down. This ablative here. The king Sigurd den store, Sigurdus Magnus. Um, yes, no, Sigurdus of the Great. So Sigurd, the son of Magnus, being dead. It looks like it's. I would say it's definitely an absolute ablative. I would understand that temporarily. So the son of Magnus being dead. Um, uh, and then regno in the kingdom, regnum, in the whole kingdom. Um, yeah, um, the whole kingdom, patiente, suffering, experiencing, passively experiencing many perturbations. Well, not many, great, I should say. Um, no, okay, so here we have the verb. Yes, okay. The family, deponent verb, potitur, um, potor, acquire, got hold of, um, by means of deceit. Uh, that takes a ablative. I prefer that it takes ablative, but I've also learned that it can take a genitive. Yes, we shall hear more about that later. Such cases. So, uh, which house or which castle, a family elevated in dignity and nobility, the Leoni Parmensis. I suppose I don't know. We don't quite know the relative relevance of uh, this son of Magnus being dead, uh, but at least there's a family, and they got the castle by deceit and trickery. Okay, cool. As as for Ita, yes, as namely, thus have I I had read in the annals, in the records. I think monumentis is also a good word for records. Monumentis, generally anything. I recently learned that monumentum is just anything that stands to monere, to remind us, and thus monumentum has a very broad meaning, like the word record in English. Um, Castellum, yes. Um, as I read in the annals, the castle once upon a time, wooden, um, and approximately the whole of of a of a friendly people died in a fire. Yeah, not everything I understand perfectly here. Um, maybe Emilia would dignify us with a comment. I'm not sure I'm actually missing anything, but um, maybe I'm not getting the correct sounds out of Gentis. Um, People die, and the castle was once out of wood. That seems quite sure. But like how they go together, yeah, maybe we can infer. Um, the friend in that place. Let me double check that I got that right. Comrade, right? Yeah, maybe it's something. Yes, I think this is the sense. Yes, yeah, I had the inclination here. The inkling, sorry. Count, I think, is the sense Emilia is using this word in. Right. And so Ghent is, yes. Because gens can be like is like a term for like the Julian gens is the stock or race or what you want to call the tribe of Julius Caesar, right? So there are these gentes, um, of noble families, of primates, etc. So, so this whole noble family had, that I guess was the one family of their gens, died in this fire, um, in the castle that was once out of wood. the count in there to have lived um, solitarily. We would use an adverb in English. Um, the the uh, the count to have lived alone. Um, per contens nacta eram. I questioning the farmers. I acquired. I got hold of. Um, I thought this, like, before I read this text, I thought nacta nangiri, is that it? Nactusum, I thought that was more hands-on, physical, but Emilia just used it consistently like this, acquiring information. And the I here apparently knows that the count was a female, apparently. These go together quite clearly. And more things and more things they did not dare to say. Right. Often the Holy Crucifix with hands gesticulating, they um, um, signified. I take this as they use the cross to make the sign of the cross, right? Um, uh, 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 I don't know if I'm thinking they would, right, in English. So that's where maybe I was expecting a subjunctive in Latin, but I don't think that's, yeah, anyway. And not any, yeah, this, I liked this one, and not any vox, which sometimes means word, not any voice, sorry, word out of the mouth they let go. So they didn't speak ikke et kløyvaord, as one says in Norwegian. They wouldn't say even a word. It sounds like an exaggeration. And others prayed to God. Others spit in the earth, spit in the soil. Even others in an innumerable yielded to an innumerable, and then I supply, number of superstitions being popular. Kedevant. Yes, I think that's a fair. Give into is maybe the sense. It's pretty much the same, right? Yield, give into. This is a frequent way of using kedevant. And at that time, as you know me, or is that, no, I think, yeah, it is subjunctive. It's how I read it every time. So that you might know me. And I take that to mean, like, so that you might know my story. I think that's the sense of me. So that you might know my story. However trusty and good Christian I always was, not easy in superstitious, among the superstitious I have been counted. So I have not been counted easily among the superstitious. I don't know why you would use quamvis then. Maybe, yeah, is superstition supposed to be more prevalent? among Christians. Um, um, and then it could be certain times, certain places. To pray to Christ and God is something else. Alud. Uh, Demons, larvas. Yeah, I forgot the exact meaning of larvas. It's oh yeah, right. Yes, yes, yes. Evil spirit. Yeah, spirit. Yeah, synonym pretty much. Um, um, yeah, it's one thing. Alud and alud. It's one thing to pray to God in Christ. Um, Alud to pray to, and it's implicit that you repeat the verb. Pray to demons, yeah, same thing. Evildoers. Um, uh, uh, Wait, sorry about that. There is a verb here. So it's one thing to pray to Christ and God, another thing to fight demons, I believed. Okay. One thing to believe in God, another thing to fight demons. Okay, where's she going with this? That is obviously true, is it not? Well, um, uh, um, about this, but about this, alias, I take this as, I can only understand this as enough about this, and then alias, like toward other things. Let's, um, yeah, I understand it as de hoc ad alias. So from this, let's transition from this to other things, is how I understand this. Yes. So we have some context. Castle, treachery, and, you know, Marcella's relationship to her religion seems a bit strange. Pergebam praesidiis semita, quae ducebat ad Opidulum, cui nomen Latinum ponti, cuius multies de superstitionibus et narrationibus vulgaribus scripta avaris eruditis sacerdotibus relicta in veneram parvum verost, cuius in cole ad centum tantum iam videntur super esse, multi autem nominis hic apud superstitiosos. And I continued from, and this was a new word for me, from the estate, praesidia, being neuter. It normally means protection, right? No, I'm reading. Yes, presidium is protection. Yes, predium was the word. That is estate, yes. Excuse me. So I continued from the estate on the road, on the path. Semita is not quite a road, but a path, generally understood, which led to the city, the small city, it being a diminutive, for which name is, the Latin name is Ponte. Pons, I suppose, whose, I couldn't find this in a dictionary, but I think it means many times. No, many, a throng, many people, Um, mm, mm, mm. Yes, I found uh, yes, um, yes, of whom a multitude about superstitions and uh, folk stories written by various wise priests left behind. I found. So she's finding some writings um, about superstitions and folk stories. That is a small thing indeed, um, of which inhabitant around Oedipus' number is around 100 only. Um, right. It's a small oppidum, right? It's not a small thing. It's a small. Well, it's also yeah. The oppidum is parvum, of which that is a bit confusing. I think that's how it's supposed to be understood. Of which, and this is plural. They don't go together. Um, of which the inhabitants um, seem uh, seem to be above around 100 only now. Um, Now as opposed to before. I don't know why that's now as opposed to before, but uh, maybe she learned it and now she knows. Yeah. Many, namely many, or many, however. Mm, oh, have I passed on this? I must have glossed over this. I think it's a funny thing right here. It seems to be it has um, it has a big name among the superstitious. Um, Here and then you would have to decide whether you understand multi as uh, yes. I'm pretty sure about the sense. Many, you know, already heard that before. There are many superstitious people in the city. Um, yeah, I should have found out about this before doing this. Well, uh, nota bene. Yes. Um, Cum per vias angustas atque atras e quo advecta essem ad ecclesiam, quam archiepiscopus Nidrosiensis paucis sestertiis emerat restituitque, ut ancoram fidei conderem, utque Iesu Christi lucem extenderem in etiam longinquissimam et rudissimam regni partem. Miravar, non in tam parva erat quam fora credideram, nec tamen ornata velut ecclesiae nidrosae vergisque, duo tabulata habebat, qualis quasi in denigratis parietibus lineis, fenestris nullus color erat nec effigies, neque intus quid videre poteram propter tenebras, quod ego prima huius fani antistes eram, aliae enim monarchae consecuture erant, ubi consecrata esset, etiam extra eidem Vespertine in tenebrae obtigere quaetre, ergo intro fugi ne frigoris nocturni causa, in escioquam urbo incidrem, equum instabulum duxi, numo soluto, ibidem reliqui, ud stabularius cum eum curaret. As through the narrow roads and dark, as well as being dark, I was driven. Driven by horse. I had been driven by horse to the church, which the archbishop, the Nidrosian archbishop, the bishop of Nidaros, that is, with a few Cistercians, supposed to then be under Roman control, or at least they take Cistercians there, bought and restituit somehow. So that I would make an anchor of the faith, as well as of Jesus Christ, the light I would extend in even the remotest and most uneducated. Boorish, I think, is maybe too strong. Boorish, crude, remotest and crudest part of the kingdom. I wondered. So, yes, I wondered. So as I was walking these narrow paths, and then there's a long paragraph about the archbishop buying the church, she wondered. Now, it is not, namely, as small as to be I had thought, and not, however, ornate, not ordained, but yes, as ornate. It was not as ornate as the churches. This is how I understood this: the churches in Nidaros and the Vatican. Two altars, tabulata. I understood, like, on reading, I understood this as like you have floor. Story. I don't quite buy the story part. What churches has stories anyway? Yeah. Yeah, I understood this as the big, like the big panels or paintings that are above an altar, which you could have, as it's not an uncommon thing that you have multiple priests celebrating at the same time in the same nave. And then, some of the altars could also have these paintings, tabula. Yeah, I think that's how far I get with this. It had two tabula, pullis. Pullis. It's not chicken. I also skipped looking at this, apparently. Pullis. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's young hen, right? But that's probably not the meaning. It's, yeah, blackish, dark colored is quite certainly the meaning here. And with walls, with wooden walls, blackened, like yeah, blackened as if by fire, and they are dark. They are dark with dark as if by fire blackened walls of wood. Yeah. Yeah, you see those, or rather, it's just tar, right? They're blackened with tar. It's a very strong black color. Um, and by the windows, no color nor effigy pictures, I suppose, or statues. I think statues. So in the windows there are not um, color. That is to say, the yeah, you know immediately what to think about, right? The glass paintings. There are no glass paintings. Yeah, statue. I think it is, and there are no statues beneath. Nor inside anything to see could I, because of the darks, idiomatically Latin, plural, since I was the first priest of this, I think, temple. I thought both of these words were a bit strange to find here. In a Christian context, I think both famum and antistes are quite foreign. You know, maybe it's the case, but I would be a bit surprised. It seems like particularly um, Roman pagan terms to me. Yeah, as opposed to sacerdos, right, which is also used in Christianity. And yes, other nuns, namely, were to follow as soon as it was consecrated. Yes. Um, that would mean it's not quite a proper church yet. Okay. If it's just a random building, maybe it does have 2 floors, I guess. And out, but here it says Adam, and since it's, if it's plural, it might mean building, like any building, but the singular means temple. So, yeah. Even outside the temple, yeah, and then Emilia, she likes these kinds of archaisms, like the era for erunt, so the evenly darks. No, here it is. This is the one. The Coperent began to fall. I think that's a bit funny use of obtegra, but I learn. and therefore I fled inside, uh, lest so that not of the nightly cold, so that not because of the nightly cold, in I don't know what illness I would come upon, right? I wouldn't get myself into I don't know what kind of illness because of nightly cold. Um, um, that's a good sentence, I think. And the horse into the stable I led, um, having exchanged, having given up, having solvere is used a lot to pay. So money having been paid is really the meaning here. Um, so leads the horse on in, gives the money, and leaves it there. I left it there. I left there. Uh, so that uh, the stable man, uh, it would take care of. Ita, some water. Mm. Nihil momentia accidit, quum dormiebam in dormatorio ecclesiae. Prima luce, galocamente, experecta per fenestram dormatorii viam propinquam intuita sum. Nemo in vis aderat, neque multi hominum absentiam feci, quod plerosque hic habitantis sub agresti ingenio credebam pigros dinestos, quare manem non orabant nec laborabant, ego vero munera antistis fungebar, quam optime poteram. Nothing of importance happened. Yeah, I don't like this nihil momenti construction that is used a lot in Latin online for for what one takes to be the corresponding in English importance. Yeah, because I don't quite see that momentum, as far as I can tell in Latin, is extremely closely tied to the movement, which is still the meaning that it still retains in physics, right? Momentum. And you could even in English use momentum then to mean something like importance, but using it a lot, I think, is too weird. Yeah, I recommend. I mean, really, you could just say nihil, right? But magnitudo could work. Nihil magnitudinis, or nothing worth telling about would also be fitting here. Okay, enough about that. Nothing happened. As I slept in the sleeping room of the church. At first light, prima luce, that's an expression I really like. And then the same thing twice, really. As the cock were singing, I got up and through the window of the chamber, a road nearby, I put my eyes on. Again, in tuor. Nemo, and no one in the roads were, present, and not um, and of much and of much of men's um, absence I did not make, and I did not make of much of men's absence. It took me. It's not so far from. It is really not far at all from the English expression. I didn't make much of the absence of men in the roads. um, I mean, I I think having in mind that there's barely 100 people here, why would you ever expect to see someone? But well, maybe she lives in the city center, and even with 100 people, you would expect to see people, especially at dawn. But okay, okay. So yeah, this one I did solve, but yeah, the other one, this one, I forgot to. I didn't realize. I didn't understand. Uh, um, as Yeah, and here is a predilection of Emilia. She likes to use is for both accusative and uh, nominative, um, as well as genitive for the present tense participle, unless that is slander. I hope it's not. Um, and of course, same for accusative and nominative, same as genitive for I stem words. Yeah, I think that's how it is. Um, so habitantes and pluros go together. Um, for most, here, the habitants. Um, um, mm, yeah. Yeah, these goes together. So suagresti. Because most habitants of a quite, and here the sense of sub is quite, um, of a quite rude, of a quite crude character, I believe. I believe most habitants to be a quite crude character, um, lazy and immoral. Um, for which reason, um, early they did not pray nor work. I truly, um, in the office of priest, functioned or gave service. I did my service in the office of priest as quam optime, as best as I could. Mm. Vesperii cum in qualis collocutum, quia ignoraba